So we have this AWS Inspector, GuardDuty, CloudWatch, CloudTrail. These are different services we have in place. Fine. Okay. So let's begin with our today's session. And this is, guys, the first question we have in place, right? So take your time and just understand what's going on with this respective question, and then we'll proceed further. So in the question, guys, there's a very important service that's been discussed up, which is called by the name of an SSM, right? So this SSM, guys, is there for the respective patching part, right? Just a minute. So this SSM, you can think about systems manager we have in place. This is what we have for a respective patching up in place, right? The SSM, systems manager. Okay, sounds good up in place. Let's talk about it. What actually the thing is. The question talks about a company has a production workload that runs 1,000 Amazon Linux instances up in place. The workload is powered by third-party software. Very, very important thing. It's powered by third-party software up in place. The company needs to patch the third-party software on all EC2 instances quickly as possible to remediate the critical security vulnerability. It means that you have how many? You have thousands instances up in place. Okay, that's the thing, and you need to patch it up immediately. Fine, that's the thing. So, what are the options we have in play in this respective part? The first is create an AWS Lambda function, right, to patch all the instances. The Lambda is not used up in place, right? Okay, Lambda has is kind of a you could think about in the Lambda, you deploy a respective code, and this code execute when you define a condition, like tomorrow at 9 o'clock, execute it up in place. So at 9 o'clock, this code will be executing. This is a very layman language I'm explaining to you. What's the thing with it? Okay, so this is the thing we have here. So this A is not going to be the case. Second comes up, configure AWS Systems Manager, Patch Manager to apply the patches to all the instances. Okay, it can be. Always remember, this is kind of a thing which you need to keep in mind when you're looking into the examination part. Whenever you think about SSM, Systems Manager, this is the service which is there to manage a fleet of instances. Well, let's suppose, for example, guys, you tell me up. Okay, let's say in your organization you have thousands of servers. Okay, so what do you say? What is the best mechanism to go to each and every server and update it? Let's suppose there is an update, new security update is there. So do you want to go to in each and every server and update it up in place, or create a system to centralizely just there is a centralized place through which you are able to push up the updates? So this SSM is there for the automation part, man, right? What's going to happen up is that this servers are there, the server 1, server 2 you have in place, and the SSM is there. SSM is a kind of a centralized place through which you can able to push up the update, patching into all the servers up in place, right? That's it. So which makes the life a lot easier. It means that using up the SSM, I will be just what's actually thing. Let's suppose this is server 1, S1. This is your respective server 2. I want to update them, and I don't want to do it manually. So here you have an SSM, and the servers are connected to the respective SSM. Using up the SSM now, I will run a respective code here. Okay, eventually it will be running in all the servers, whether it's 2 server or 2000 servers, it will be running in all of them. And this code could be about patching, about security update, anything that makes my life much easier. So even if I have a fleet of thousands of servers, using up the SSM, I just need to run a code that will run up just for 5 minutes, and all thousands would subject systems would be updated. Okay, that's the thing. So it could be the answer. Fine, let's explore the other one. It says that schedule an AWS Systems Manager maintenance window to apply the patches. It has nothing to do with the maintenance window. Maintenance window means that, let's suppose, for example, you are want to update your system, and you're saying that, okay, man, I want to update the system, but avoid the update from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5, because there's an office. Okay, after 5 o'clock there is a the office gets closed up, or let's say 6, correct? In that respective case, what you can do is, you know, then you can push up the update. Fine, let's suppose, for just imagine a situation like my Windows has an update. Okay, I get up an update from Microsoft, and what is actually happening at up in place is that immediately right now I'm in the session, we are just discussing something, and automatically the update start up in place and my system is shut down. Definitely that will disrupt this session, correct? So what I can do is I can create a maintenance window where I can say that, okay, on Sunday, right, where let's suppose I'm not having a session or something like that, on Sunday, um, from 9 o'clock to 5 p.m., right, you can update anytime, but not in the normal days, not in Monday to Saturday. Don't do that. Okay, that's a maintenance part, so that's not the one. Okay, use AWS Systems Manager to run a custom command that applies the patch to all the instances up in place. Similar thing. Now here is the difference. Here it says that the workload is powered by third party software. It means the servers are powered by third party software. So whenever that is the case, you are going to go with this one. Okay, because it's third party, right? Since the vulnerability is in a respective third party software up in place, so you will use a run command in that particular case, okay, to run a custom update. So the correct answer, guys, is going to be your respective D. Just keep this thing in mind. SSM is there to automate. It's there to centrally manage all of your respective resources, especially the EC2 instances. Okay, perfect. So let's move to the next question, guys. This is the next question, everyone. Please go through it. Okay. So how things are there in this respective part, right? Let's just explore it out, right? Everyone over the screen now, please. Okay. It says that the question in itself says that a hospital recently deploy a REST a full API. Okay. With Amazon API Gateway. This is kind of a service we have into the AWS, which is called API Gateway. Okay. With AWS Lambda. Fine. The hospital uses API Gateway and Lambda to upload reports that are in the PDF format and JPG format. So you are doing what? You are actually uploading this one in place, filing this particular format, right? The hospital needs to modify the Lambda code to identify protected health information (PHI) in that respective report. Okay, so they are kind of saying that, okay, fine, when you're uploading up the respective medical records, whether it's in the PDF format or the GPG format, just identify the PHI in that particular case. What solution will meet the requirement with the least operational overhead? Operational overhead means that minimum cost you can think about. Fine. The first is use existing Python libraries to extract tag from the report up in place. I would say, man, Python would not be the best option up in place. Okay, and it will create a lot of integration, a lot of problems it will be getting it up, so it will increase the overall operation cost. Fine, so I'll not be going with this one in place. Okay, the second one is use Amazon extract to extract the text from the respective report. Use Amazon SageMaker to identify your respective PHI, right? So I would say that in this respective case, SageMaker, you are seeing it up. Just a minute. Okay. The SageMaker, man, you are seeing it up, is kind of a service which is there to train and manage your ML model, machine learning models. If you just want to build up into the AWS part, the SageMaker, this is the one you have in place. Okay, that's the thing. So definitely this will create a problem, right? SageMaker, it says identify the PHI from the extract tactic up in place, correct? So yeah, that will again increase high operational cost up in place. Okay, that's the thing. So I would be just saying that B is not the one I would be looking for. Okay, then I will be just going with the C. It says that Amazon extract to extract the text from the report. Okay, fine. And Amazon comprehend medical to identify PHI from the extracted up in place. Okay, yes. Textract is a service we have into the AWS. SageMaker Amit is a service man ML service into the AWS part, which is there if let's suppose you want to create your own ML models, right? Machine learning models you want to create, train them up in place. So SageMaker is that particular service man for that. Okay. Great. And extract is a service which is there to extract the text from the document. So what you do, let's suppose, for example, 50 page of document is there. Okay. And now in that particular case, you submit it up to the AWS Test and Test will be extracting the text from that particular 50 those images or the documents up in place, correct? That's the thing. So extract is there, fine. And there is another service we have in place which is called comprehend medical. So what is this service is that it's specialized in detecting and extracting medical information, especially PHI. Okay, so this is the one you have in place. Okay, comprehend is a kind another kind of a service we have into the AWS, which is specialized in detecting and extracting PHI up in place, personal identify information. Okay, let's explore the D as well. Let's see what the D is correct or not. The D is Amazon recognition. Recognition is a service is there to extract the track text from the respective report. I would say that is not the job of the recognition. Is recognition is to recognize. Let's suppose, for example, what I do is I have a CCTV camera. Okay, and the footage I send it to the respective recognition. Recognition is definitely for sure is able to look into that image or the video and tell it out that okay, or let's suppose, for example, you have CCTV camera stored at your traffic light. Okay, or at your road or the highways up in place, which is continuously capturing the videos of the vehicle which are over speeding. Now you send the data to the respective this recognition. It will automatically capture, extract the image of the number plate from that particular video. Okay, because it recognizes it up in place. So recognition is kind of a service for recognition. You give it up an image, you give it a video, and say that okay, find this, find that. It will help you out with that. Okay, this is the case. So recognition is to recognize something, but it is not to extract anything. So this is completely wrong. Fine. So D is not going to be the case up in place. So I hope this part is clear with you. Recognition part, it's like a machine which is analyzing your image and the videos, and let's suppose whatever the information you have said, give it to it, it will be telling you. Let's suppose, for example, like you have a photo, a family photo. You give it to the respective AWS recognition and say that how many people are there in this respective photo. Recognition analyzes that particular image and tells you up in place that okay, in this photo 10 people are there, right? 2 are kids. Okay, and it looks like 4 are female, and it looks like the rest are the males up in place. Okay, that's the thing. So that's called a recognition service, but in this respective case the C is going to be the case. Fine, I hope this is sound crystal clear with everyone. Perfect. Now man, this is the next question. Everyone please look into it. Okay, guys. So let's see what the question is talking about. The question says that a company has application. Just give me a minute. Okay. A company has an application that run on Amazon EC2 instance in a VPC. Okay, so in a VPC you have an application EC2 instance opening up in place. One of the application needs to call Amazon S3 API. So what it says, you have an EC2 instance, EC2, okay, running in a respective VPC. Fine. One of the application needs to call Amazon S3 API. Sorry, Amazon S3. It means S3 is there. Always remember, guys. So when you define respective S3, correct? Do you define the respective VPC into it? Because we do that when we are selecting or creating an RDS database. We do that when we are learning about a respective EC2 instance. Correct? We configure or we tell the respective AWS in which particular VPC, in which respective subnet you want to do it up in place. Okay, we say that. But in the S3, have you ever seen it up that you mentioned in which particular VPC it should be created? The S3 is not deployed in the VPC. Okay, it's outside of the VPC, and AWS take cares of it. Fine, it's not our respective headache. Okay, so that's the thing. Fine. So now it is, and one of the application needs to call the S3 up in place. So it means that S3 it want to call up the respective S3. According to the company security regulation, no traffic from the application is allowed to travel across the internet. Means that it should not leave the AWS infrastructure. Which solution meets the respective set of a requirement you have in place? Configure the AWS gateway endpoint. Gateway endpoint, what we have in place, guys? What's the feature of the gateway endpoint is? What it provide us? The S3 gateway endpoint, especially because there are two type of gateway endpoint, right? There is an interface gateway endpoint and there is a S3 gateway endpoint. S3 gateway endpoints provide you private communication, correct? That your traffic, the packet never goes outside of the AWS infrastructure. Fine, that is the benefit. So this is really good, looks good, I would say that. Okay, another thing is that S3 bucket in a private subnet, I just mentioned to you, you do not define the respective S3 bucket in any of subnets up in place. Okay, so you cannot place an S3 bucket in a private subnet. It's a global service. Fine, correct. Okay, create an S3 bucket in same AWS region as the respective EC2 instance up in place, right? uh, so this is, I would say, this is the best practice from cost and latency point of view, but from security point of view, this is not the one, because even still, when the EC2 would be communicating with the respective S3, that will be using up near normal internet, and that's not what we want. So this is good, but it is violating this thing of security, communication. Again, is the third one we have in place is configure a NAT gateway. How would you like to define the difference between a NAT gateway and your respective internet gateway? So your internet gateway, man, you have in place, which is called IGW, that allows your respective subnet to communicate to the outside world. And internet gateway, IGW, allows both way communication, means incoming and outgoing of the traffic, it is allowing up in place. Okay, that is the property of the NAT. It means that I would say that my respective subnet is there. This is my subnet. The subnet is connected to my respective NAT. Okay, sorry, IGW, internet gateway. Okay, and traffic is going, outgoing as well as incoming through it up in place, right? But on the other hand, you have NAT. If again this is my respective subnet, the subnet is connected to my respective NAT, network address translation. Okay, this NAT gateway. So in that respective case, the traffic can go outside, but the incoming of the traffic is kind of restricted up in place. Okay, that's the difference between the internet gateway and the NAT gateway. Fine. Okay, so it says that configure a NAT gateway in the same subnet of the EC2 instance up in place. Again, it does not resolve any kind of an issue up in place. Okay, again, because eventually the traffic would be going through the internet only. So this is also not the best option, I would say, right? So to securely communicate, fine, between the EC2 and the S3, we have, what is that? We have the respective endpoint for that. Okay, perfect. So this is, guys, the correct answer. Now let's move to the next one. Okay, this is, guys, the next question. Please everyone go through it. Okay, guys. So let's see what the question is talking about. The question says that a company is storing sensitive user information in Amazon S3 bucket, right? The company wants to provide secure access to this bucket from the application tier running on Amazon EC2 instance inside the VPC. Okay, so if you look into it, what's trying to say it up as well, that information in the respective S3 bucket, fine, and the company wants to provide a secure access to this particular bucket right on the EC2 instance. So EC2 instance is there, which wants to communicate with the respective bucket up in place securely. Which combination of the step should solution architect use it up to accomplish this kind of a task up in place? So first is configure a VPC gateway endpoint of the Amazon S3 with the VPC, as we have talked about. Fine. Okay, my whole purpose of giving this respective question was that to make you sure that you is now understand the VPC gateway in this respective case. Fine. Okay, so that's the case. Fine. We will keep it. Let's analyze, because, and remember, we have to select two. That's very important. Second option says that create a bucket policy to make the object in the S3 bucket public. But that will not resolve any kind of an issue, I would say. Okay, so it will completely violate the respective requirement you have in place. Then you have this option C, which says that create a particular bucket policy that limit access to only application tier running into the respective VPC up in place. Okay, so definitely for sure, when you create a particular policy that restrict access to only resources within your VPC, such as specific to the instance up in place, this ensure that only the authorized component of the application can access the sensitive data. So this can be the answer. Okay, and here guys, it is talking about bucket policy, right? So I would say that there are two type of bucket policy we have. Okay, so what are those respective two type of bucket policies? Anyone aware? Sorry, my bad, not bucket policy, but I would say there are two type of policies we have. The two type of policies that we attach based upon who is using it. So we have two type of policies. One is called by the name of identity based policy. Now the next one we have in place, which is called by the name of a resource based policy. Identity based policy means that it is attached to your respective user, group, role, okay, which are the one which perform the task. The another kind of policy we have in place, guys, which is called by the name of a resource based policy. What is a resource based policy? Resource based policy means that it is the particular policy which is attached to the entity which is containing information like the RDS database, S3 bucket, EC2 instance. Okay, so here the particular policy which you are kind of putting it up over the bucket, that is a resource based policy. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, let's see the D option. It says that create an IAM user with S3 access policy, right? Submit. Okay, asset policy and copy the IAM credentials to the respective instance in place, right? It's a very bad practicing, right? Embedding your respective static credentials onto an instance is an insecure and hard to manage up in place. Okay, and that is the reason we use up a role. So I would say that this is not a good practice. Wrong. Okay, the E1, create a NAT instance and have EC2 instance use the NAT instance to access the S3 up in place. Okay, so definitely for sure that will overcomplicate it up in place. And again, the issue is that using a NAT instance, eventually when the EC2 is communicating with the respective S3, it is going through the internet, right? That's the case. Okay, we wanted to privately communicate up in place. So in this respective part, guys, I'm just saying it up that the correct answer would be A and C. Okay, that's the thing. So we have seen it up in place that Y, A, and C are the respective correct answer. Fine, everyone. Now let's move to the next question. This, everyone, is the next question. Everyone, please go through it. Very, very interesting question. guys, so let's see what is actually going on in this respective case. Okay, I would say that let's see the question. A solution architect must design a high valuable available infrastructure for a website. Okay, let's see what the requirement is. Right, the website is powered by Windows web server that run on Amazon EC2 instance. So what is actually happening up? See, the website is powered by Windows web server that runs on EC2. So you have an EC2 instance. Okay, that is having up a Windows server inside it, right? Okay. The solution architect must implement a solution that can mitigate a large level of DOS attack that originate from thousands of IPs, right? And downtime is not accessible. So this is a kind of an EC2 instance you have in place, which is having up a Windows as an operating system. And what you want to do is that you want to protect it from any kind of DOS attack, or I would say a DDoS attack. So first things that comes into my mind is that, right, or which I would like to ask any individual when he or she would be sitting for the interview, right, in front of me, that tell me the difference between a DOS attack and a DDoS attack. So what you say, that's going to be? What is the difference between a DOS attack and a DDoS attack? So you have something which is called by the name of DOS attack. In your respective DOS attack, denial of service, okay, what is actually happening it up? The traffic is originating from a single location, guys. That is what we have in the context of DOS attack. Okay, fine. Then you have this another term which is called by the name of a DDoS. So DDoS, what is actually happening it up? The traffic is originating from multiple location. Like in the question, it's saying it up. It is originating from a lot of different IPs. It means multiple places. That's called distributed denial of service. Okay, that's the thing. So we choose the two one you have. The first is AWS Shield Advanced to stop the AWS attack. A DOS stack up in place. Yes, absolutely. We have this feature into the AWS which is called AWS Shield, right? Which will be there to protect you from a DOS attack. So just keep this thing in mind from interview point of view. From you can think about any point of view that in this respective case, what actually going on is that whenever it's talking about protection from DOS attack, AWS Shield is there always. It's the exclusive service. There is no other service you have in place which will be protecting from a DOS attack. So this could be the answer. Let's explore the other options. The B talks about configure Amazon GuardDuty to automatically block the attackers. So guys, what the job of the AWS GuardDuty is all about? Like yesterday we talked about it. What does the AWS GuardDuty really does? Always remember, AWS GuardDuty, guys, is kind of your respective like a DOS antivirus. So what is the function of an antivirus, guys, in your respective local machine? What do you say? I would not be saying a monitoring up in place. The primary thing would be in this respective part would be to detect the threat, right? It will find the threat and it will be blocking it up in place. Similar kind of thing if you just want to find the threats, right? Like in my laptop, if I have certain amount of data and I want to scan it out and find out which of the file is infected, AWS guard duty, my antivirus is the best thing I have in place. But in the AWS, if I just want to I have data in S3 bucket, I have data in the RDS database or DynamoDB or whatever it is, and I just need to find out which are the file or which is the data that is infected. AWS guard duty will do that job for me. But the problem is that the AWS GuardDuty, it detects the threat, it does not automatically blocks them up. Okay, it will not block them up in place, and it is useful for any kind of a security insight, like what is actually going on with your system. But it is not a preferable option when it comes to protecting you from any kind of a DDoS attack, distributed denial of service attack you have in place. Okay, that's the case, correct? So yeah, that's what we have. So I would say that this is not the one, right? Guard duty is going to give you the list of threats it has figured it out from looking into the respective resources, but it's not going to resolve it up in place. And like an attack like a DDoS, which is currently happening it up in real time, guard duty is not going to be effective in that case. Okay. So second is configure the website to use Amazon CloudFront for both static and dynamic content, right? So what is guys, what is actually happening up in the CloudFront part? In the CloudFront, what it does is that it creates something which is called, it will create your edge location. So this will act as a shield by absorbing the DDoS traffic as the edge location up in place. Correct? So that could be a kind of a mitigation strategy up in place. Correct? That's the one. Okay. Use AWS Lambda function to automatically add attackers IP up in place. This is not a thing which will be helping in the real time. Okay. And use EC2 spot instance in auto scaling group with a large tracking scaling policy. It's not going to work it up in place, right? Okay, because see, in the auto scaling group, what is the thing is that it will keep on scaling up it up in place, right? So the traffic keep on coming up. Your auto scaling group would be thinking that, okay, you know what, we need to create more resources, it will increase the servers. That is opposite, right? It will do even more damage to us. Fine, that's the thing. So this is not the one as well. So the correct answer is going to be your respective A and C. Final one. So this is going to be your respective one. Fine. I hope everyone got the point with it. Now, everyone, this is the next question. Please look into it. Okay. A certain portion of it we have already discussed in the yesterday session as well. So it will be much more easier for you to just answer it out. Fine. So please go ahead. Okay. So let's see what's going on in this respective case. Fine. The question is that, just give me a minute. The question is that a global company is using Amazon API Gateway to design REST API for its loyalty club users in US East 1 region and AP South East 2 region up in place. A solution architect must design a solution to protect these API gateway, manage REST API across multiple accounts from SQL injection up in place. Okay. So this is kind of a thing we have in place. SQL injection, we want to protect it from that, and cross-site scripting that up in place. These are respective web application attack. Okay, web application attack, right? So that's the thing. So which solution will meet this respective requirement with the least amount of administrative effort? The first one we have is that set up AWS WAF in both the regions. Okay, in your respective like US East 1, this is the one region, and in another region up in place. So if you want to protect the resources in both the region, create the WAF, because WAF is the one which will be protecting from this SQL injection cross-site scripting attack up in place, right? But the problem here is that this will require manual duplication and managing the respective rule in each region, right? That's the thing. So that will increase the respective cost. So I will say that not a good option, I would say. Fine. Set up AWS firewall manager in both region, centrally configuring the AWS WAF rules. Let's remember, yesterday we talked about the firewall manager, centralized place through which you can manage your multiple AWS WAF. Correct. So this could be the answer. Okay, that instead of creating it on both the region up in place, what I can do is I can set it up I can have centrally manage it up and control it up. Okay, set up AWS Shield in both region. Sorry, it's completely incorrect, right? A little bit of typo here. So both the region associate region web ACL with the API gateway. It's not. Remember, AWS Shield is only for DOS or DDoS attack. You have to look into the examination part and the question when it's categorically been mentioned up that you want to protect your infra from DOS or DDoS attack. If that's the case, then AWS Shield is there, nothing else. You will not use AWS Shield in any other scenario, only when your organization is being affected by DOS or DDoS attack. Simple. But when your respective organization is being attacked by SQL injection or cross-site scripting, in that case you use the WAF. Fine. But here by itself, we have two regions being used up in place. So instead of kind of creating different WAFs up in place, I'm just going to create a centralized firewall manager to manage it out, right? AWS Shield is again same thing. It's not AWS Shield will not do anything into it. So man, the correct answer in this respective case is that you have your respective B, firewall manager, which is centralized security management service that lets you configure and manage the AWS WAF rules across multiple accounts regions in from a single place. Okay, so from a single place you can create the WAF rules, right, for multiple accounts or multiple regions up in place. So this makes life much more easier. So this is, guys, the correct answer is all about. Okay, please keep this thing in mind. See, just again, I'm just kind of for filtering it down to you. WAF is for web application attack like SQL injection, cross-site scripting. Just keep these words in mind. The moment you see SQL injection or cross-site scripting attack, there are multiple other attacks as well. The list goes on and on. It's completely a different branch of cybersecurity, I would say that. But these are two very famous one. So there is a high probability. So whenever you see SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken access control, these kind of an attack, WAF is there up in place. Firewall manager is to manage multiple WAF in multiple accounts or multiple regions. Correct? So you have single WAF here, and you can manage one one region, another region, another region, another region up in place. You just write the rule here, and automatically it is kind of updated in all the regions. Correct? Shield is there to protect you from DOS attack. That's it, nothing else. There is no it the AWS Shield would not be able to protect you from any other attack. Just keep this thing in mind. Okay, that's the thing. So I hope it's crystal clear to you. Now let's move to the next question, guys. This is a respective next question, everyone. Please go through it. Okay, guys. So let's see it out. What is actually going on in this respective case? This question is related to your respective AWS purchase option, right? There are different models you can follow it up in place when you are how you want to use up a respective EC2. Okay, so these are different options. Based upon that, the question is designed up. So let's see the question, what the question is talking about. The question talks about a company has a highly dynamic batch processing job that use many Amazon EC2 instances to complete it. Okay, the job is stateless in nature, can be started and stopped at any given time with no negative impact. So see what it is. it's stateless in nature. Okay, it can be starting and stopping at any point in time, and typically takes upward of 60 minutes total to complete up in place. The company has asked architect to design a scalable and cost-effective solution to meet the requirement up in place. Means that it's kind of, you can think about like use and throw. Okay, it can start and stop at any given time up in place, so you have no issue with that. Correct? Okay. So here we have the option of ease comes first the EC2 spot instance. Any idea, guys, what is actually an EC2 spot instance all about? Spot instance is what it does, is that it allows you to use AWS unused EC2 capacity up to 90%. So let's suppose, for example, AWS has massive infrastructure, and let's suppose, for example, their infrastructure, is just lying there and people are not using. Let's suppose, for example, correct? Okay, a huge amount of data, hardware is there, which is not used by the people. Fine. So what they will do is that they will just kind of take out the discount, that okay, this hardware is just kind of lying there, people are not using it up in place. So the right now, currently the demand is very low, so we are going to decrease the price, and it's going to be, let's suppose, for example, 90% of the normal price. So you will be, let's suppose, previously when you are launching up a server, you are paying, let's suppose, $5. Now because people are not using that hardware a lot, there is a dip, because say demand decreases, so the price also decreases with it. Okay, now it is 90%, let's 90%, and now it should be something like very very cheap. Okay, that's the thing. You will be getting, let's suppose, $1 or even less than that. Correct? That same server up in place. Okay, that is what's called the spot instance, man. Using unutilized hardware of the AWS, which due to which they have decreased the size of it up in place. Okay, that's the thing. Correct? So it looks like really good. So I would say that's what a spot instance is all about. Spot instance is, it is very good for, it's ideal for stateless, fault tolerant, and you know your interruptible workloads up in place. Okay, that's the thing, as been mentioned up here by itself. So stateless, this just looks the good one. But let's explore the other options. There we have the second one, which talks about purchase EC2 reserve instance. What this reserve instance does is that it is best for your long running. In the reserve instance, what you do is that, man, let's suppose, for example, um, let's say, guys, you go to your respective AWS EC2. So are you making any kind of a commitment with the respective AWS? What do you say? Are you making any kind of commitment with the AWS when you're launching up a server? That, man, that AWS, I will run this server for 2 days, for 2 months. Are you making some such kind of a commitment when you're going to the AWS console, guys, and launching up a server? No, right? We don't do that. I go right now to my respective EC2 in any of the region. I deploy up a server. I'm not making any kind of commitment with the respective AWS. Fine. That is called on-demand instance. Whenever you want it, it is provided to you. You run it, and once your job is done, you dispose it out. Okay, and how long you run it up in place, you pay a price for that. That's your all demand instance. Reserve instance means that, guys, you are technically saying to the AWS that this is the server, and I'm committing it to you, man, that I will be using it for the entire year. Okay, that, let's suppose, for example, we reserve the ticket for the railways, we reserve the ticket for the bus, we reserve the tickets for the movie theaters. Okay, so we are making up a commitment, right? That if let's suppose tomorrow I'm just want to go to watching movies up in place, so I just purchase up the ticket, I reserve a seat there. Correct? No one would be able to occupy that in place. That's reserved for Amit. Okay, that's the thing. So that is exactly what a reserve instance is. Reserve instance means that you're kind of making a commitment to the AWS, stating up that I will be using the server for the entire year. Okay, once you make that commitment, right, and you say that okay, I am, and then inside the reserve instance also you have different subcategories. But in the reserve instance, let's suppose, for example, you go it up and you say to the AWS, that AWS says to you, let's suppose, for example, let me see, AWS says to you that if the server is there, which is like T2 micro, if you run it for your entire year, man, in that particular case, the cost you're getting it up is $50. Okay, that's the one. If you run it on normal day-to-day life. But let's suppose today I go to the server and say to the AWS that, man, this is a respective server I have in place, and I will be using it for the next 12 months. I'm just committing it to you. Okay, reserve it for me, right? Okay, So the AWS says that, okay, man, the price is $50. Okay, you can think about like for an year, but because you are making up a commitment, in that case, we will give you a discount, and that it will bring down the cost to $33. See, that's the thing. So that is the benefit when I get it up in place, when I reserve it up. Fine, that's the case. Correct. So I pay the price and it will give me a discount into it. Okay, that's the thing. So this is called the reserve instance. Fine, and the on demand you're aware about it, and the AWS Lambda part has nothing to do with it in place, right? So the correct option is, always remember, whenever they're talking about stateless or unpredictable behavior, it's the spot instance, right? So let's look into it. Here it is, the spot instance. Now everyone, this is the next question. Everyone, please look into it. Okay, so let's see what's actually going on in this respective case. The question is that a company needs to retain application log file for a critical application for how many? For 10 years. Okay. The application team regularly access logs from past month for troubleshooting, but logs older than the 1 month are rarely extra up in place. The application generate more than 10 TB of the logs per month. So which shows up in is the option? The first one, it says that store the logs in Amazon S3. Okay. Use AWS backup to move logs more than one to the Glacier Deep Archive. Okay. So I would say that AWS backup is a kind of a service which is we have in place, which is there to centrally manage all the backups in all the AWS up in place. But AWS backup is not designed for lifecycle transaction of the AWS S3 data. Okay, it's better suitable for your respective EFS, RTS, DynamoDB kind of thing up in place. Not suitable for the respective S3. Store the logs in Amazon S3. Use lifecycle policy to move the object from logs more than 1 month to the Glacier Deep Archive. Okay, this can be the answer. Second, third, it says store the logs in Amazon CloudWatch logs. Use AWS backup to move the into up in place. Okay, so CloudWatch logs, guys, are expensive for storing large volume of log data in longer terms of time. So this is not the one I would be recommending it up. And then it says that store the logs in CloudWatch logs. Use Amazon LF lifecycle to move up. Again, you're storing it up in the CloudWatch logs. That's very expensive, so we are not going with that. The only option we are left with in this respective case is your respective option B. Okay, so this is a respective answer we have in place. Fine. And here you're seeing a service which is called by the name of AWS Backup. AWS Backup is a kind of a service, man, which is there to centrally manage all the backups that are taking place in different databases, instances, right? So you can centrally manage all of them. That's what actually happens up in the respective AWS Backup, a centralized service. Clear? That's the case. Okay, perfect. So let's move to the next question. This is, man, the next question. Okay, so let's see what the question is trying to say in this respective case. The question is that a company is migrating an application from on-prem server to the Amazon EC2 instance. Okay, as part of migration design requirement, a solution architect must implement infrastructure metrics alarm. What is, guys, can you tell me out what is actually a metric is? This term metrics, very important term. So can you help me out with it? What the metric is? Let me help you out with it. What is actually a metric is all about? Let's suppose, for example, let's take a moment and for a moment forget about the AWS. Let's say you want to take a decision, right? Or there's a doctor is there which wants to take up a decision that whether you are healthy or not. So what he do is that he just mention a blood test, and when the blood test report comes up in place, he just views it. So what do you say, guys? Logically, rationally, just looking into just one medical record, can you come to the conclusion that particular person is in a healthy state? Like we have, when we have a routine checkup, so just having a one single test, or just having just looking into one single report, is it enough for anyone to come to the conclusion that a particular person is in a healthy state? What do you say? Because I don't think so, right? Okay, he will be just conducting multiple tests. Fine, ECG, and let's suppose, for example, your oxygen, you tested, you doing it up in place, blood test, kidney function test, this, that, plenty of tests, and then he comes to the respective conclusion up in place that how well you are. So in that particular case, when I'm judging up the health of an individual, what are the factors I will be looking for? I will look for weight, blood pressure, heartbeat, cholesterol level. Correct? These are the parameters based upon which I come to the conclusion whether the person is in a healthy state or not. Correct? That is called metrics. Okay, those parameters based upon which what you do is that you come to the conclusion that whether this particular thing is healthy or not, right? Or whether you make this respective decision whether your server is healthy or not is called, guys, by the name of metrics. Okay, that's the thing. Like, what could be the metrics in the context of respective AWS server? Like, it could be CPU utilization, RAM utilization, right? Read and write speed, data transfer, data coming in, data going out. That is the metrics for a respective server based upon which you can look and tell that whether this respective server is in a healthy state or not. Okay, if it is not, then you can take proper action. So this is what you have. Okay, a company does not need to take action if the CPU utilization increases to more than 50%, right? They do not want to take up an action for short point of time. However, if the CPU utilization increase to more than 50% and read IOPS on the disk are high at the same time, fine, company need to act soon, as soon possible. Solution architect, what should be the thing? It means that, see, in the metrics, as I mentioned to you, input output operation per second, processing you can think about. Okay, higher the IOPS, higher is the processing. Like you can think about SSD is having higher processing, right? It can process much more data up in place. That's the reason it is fast. Okay, but as compared to the hard disk has less IOPS, input output operation per second, in processing. Okay, so here is the two metrics, are two things here. It's talking about your respective CPU as well as it is talking about your respective disk. Correct? These two things should, if they are high, then generate an alert. So create Amazon CloudWatch composite alarm. Composite alarm is consolidation of the alarm, like this, which is actually going on here, where you have two metrics, one, two, and you're just making a rule that when both of them are high, then create an alert. Okay, that's the thing. So you will see that like this. This is how it is written: metrics one plus matrix 2. Okay, so when matrix 1 and matrix 2 both are in a high state, then the alarm would be generated up in place, not just only CPU or the disk, when both of them. That's called composite alarm, combining two alarms up in place. Okay, so this could be the answer, but let's explore the other options. Create Amazon CloudWatch dashboard to visualize the metrics and react to it quickly. Not a good option, I would say that. Absolutely not. Fine. Okay, and create an Amazon CloudWatch synthetic camera to monitor the application up in place. This respective thing, synthetic camera, is one which uh, it is used to stimulate user behavior and test an application endpoint. So it has nothing to do in this respective situation. Okay, and there comes create single Amazon CloudWatch metrics alarm with multiple metrics threshold where possible up in place. Okay, so this is also wrong, absolutely wrong up in place. It's not possible in a single alarm, right? So this is the case. So the correct answer is called composite alarm. So this is the one you have to look into up in place. Composite alarm means that you are combining two situation, two condition, right? Normally what we say that, okay, when my CPU is man 90%, give me an alarm, give me a message or notification that Amit, your CPU has reached 90%, take proper action, otherwise it will collapse. That is one scenario, right? Scenario one or metric or situation one. What you can also do is that you can have another scenario, scenario two, right, where you're saying it up that, okay, when your respective disk, right, when your disk read write speed is high as well, then also create up an alert. So you're kind of now combining both the condition. You're saying when the CPU is 90% and at the same time the disk is also high, then generate the alarm. That is called composite alarm, combining two individual or independent alarm. Okay, that's what we have in call by the name of the composite alarm. Perfect. Now guys, this is the next question, everyone. Okay, so let's look into it. It you have seen it up. The question is kind of similar to the previous one, but the very small twist, and I've intentionally put that in place. Okay, a company's migrating application of the on-prem to the Amazon EC2 instance. As part of the migration design requirement, a solution architect must implement infrastructure metrics alarm. The company does not need to take action if the CPU utilization increases more than 5% for short burstable time. However, if the CPU utilization increases for the 50% and IOPS is also high, company need to take the action soon as possible. Right. That's similar as previous question. The twist is that the solution architect also must reduce the false alarm. False alarm means that an alarm that is triggered up when you investigate into it, you get to know that this alarm is completely uh, false, means that this action never took place. Let's suppose, for example, you get up an alarm or an alert stating up that Amit, your system has been compromised. You wake up at the middle of the night, open your system, okay, and do the investigation, and you get to know that this is completely a false alarm, right? There is no attack. The system, it either it malfunctioned or it picked up some other signature, whatever it is, what could be the reason could be. Eventually, you end up, you know, in a kind of a situation you can think about where it's a false alarm, right? Means actually the problem is not there, it's kind of a fake one you can think about. Okay, so what should be the solution architect requirement up in place? So create an out CloudWatch composite alarm, that could be the one. CloudWatch dashboard, no, that will not resolve the issue of this as well as of the false alarm. Of synthetic alarm, again I mentioned to you, this is a completely different stuff, right? And metric alarms with multiple metric threshold up in place, that's not possible, right? So you end up with a composite alarm in place. Okay, the same thing, the answer is the same. Fine. So the composite alarm is there. Okay, now guys, this is the next question, everyone, please look into it. Okay, so let's see what the question says. The question says that an IAM user made several configuration changes to the respective AWS resources in their company account during a production deployment last week. Okay. A solution architect learned that a couple of security group rules are not configured as desired, right? Okay. So it get to know that the security rules are not configured as desired up in place, right? The solution architect wants to confirm that which IAM user were responsible for making up the changes. So it means that some unauthorized changes has taken place up in place, and now you want to investigate into it. Which service should the solution architect use to find the desired information? So you're looking for, see, changes, made several changes. So I am user made up several changes up to the resources, right? Okay, you want to investigate that thing. So guys, what do you say, what is actually happening with the guard duty, what the guard duty does? Now tell me up. I hope till now you're clear with it. What is the thing with the respective guard duty is all about? It is kind of an antivirus. It checks the malicious system you have in place. That's what the guard duty really does. Okay, it finds, it looks for some malicious file malwares up in place. Okay, into your respective system up in place. So that's a good thing. But guard duty is not there to look for any kind of a changes that has taken place up in place, right? Okay, configuration change. Let's suppose a user has logged into the AWS environment and made the changes. So that kind of an activity, the guard duty will not be able to catch it. Guard duty is completely based upon the signatures. It has signature, and based upon signatures, it matches your files and folders, and that's it. So guard duty is not the one. Okay, then what else we have? We have this AWS Inspector, or sorry, Amazon Inspector we have in place. So what it does, that it access the security posture of your respective EC2 instance. Okay, and based upon that, it makes a decision that how things are there, right? So it does not track the user activity. So this is not the case as well. It looks for security posture. Then you have a very interesting service, guys, which is called by the name of CloudTrail. Okay, like Splunk is a SIM solution where logs are being stored up. So it's a centralized place where logs are getting stored up in place. Correct? That is what we have in place. Okay. So that's logic, man. Fine. So CloudTrail is a SIM solution we have, guys, into the respective AWS. That's the thing. Okay. Into the AWS part. So here we have this one. So that's the thing. Now CloudTrail is the one where, which is the place, a centralized place where all of your respective logs will be collected. I repeat, any interaction, any action you perform, right? CloudTrail is kind of capturing or storing all those respective logs, guys. Okay, that's the case. Fine. So this is what is actually happening it up in the respective CloudTrail part. Just a minute, man. Let me just show it to you if it's possible up for me. So this is my AWS account, AWS system. Okay. And now what I'm doing is that in this respective case, I'm showing to you that how actually it really looks like. I will be going into the respective service we have in place, which is called by the name of CloudTrail. Okay. See, track user activity up in place, right? If I zoom it up, it tracks user activity. Okay. I click into the CloudTrail part. Let's see. You will be easily able to see it up in place that in my respective AWS account, who has made what kind of changes up in place, right? This is how it is. So I just click into it, and let's suppose even history is there. I click into that history part and see right now I logged in up in place, correct? Okay, fine. And this is showing it to me the who performed this login. Root performed this respective login up in place. See, root performed this respective login at this point in time. Okay, this action, this is the time duration, who performed it, and where the particular action was taking place. It was just this in signin.amazon.com. Okay, and another information, let's suppose for example, here is delete database. Let's suppose someone has deleted the database, correct? So see, option is that delete database on May 2025. At this point in time, the root perform it up in place, right? Okay, it means yesterday. And over AWS glue, this is the kind of service we have. Okay, so he deleted the respective database, the root did it up in place, correct? I click into it. Okay, and here by itself a lot of information I'm getting it about the respective user, a lot of information I can get it up in place. And just a minute, if I click into it, you can literally see the source IP as well, man, right? Of the root or of the person. It could be root, it could be anyone, right? Any other individual from a respective examination perspective. So it could be user A, user B, user C. So I can see that technically that user A deleted a database on 20th of May at this point in time, and that particular database was about AWS Glue. Okay, and this is the source IP of that particular when you're seeing it up. So this is how it works up. Okay, so all activity that takes place in my AWS account by any user, even the root or with any other IAM user, is mourned up in the respective CloudTrail. Correct? So I hope this is clear with you. Fine. That's the thing. So here it says that in this respective part, see, IAM user. So like in my particular case, it was root. In this situation, it will be an IAM user. Okay, so this looks the correct one, right? Because in the CloudTrail, you are able to actually see what kind of action the user has performed up in place. Then on the other hand, we have guys another service which is called by the name of an AWS config. Config is for the compliance. Let's say, for example, I want to just look at how many systems I have or security group I have, which where RDP is opened up. So I will create a rule and run it. It will scan all of my security group and give me the list of the respective security group where RDP is enabled up in place. Okay, so you can create your own set of compliance and execute it up in place. Okay, and another feature the config really does is that tracking, monitoring of your respective resources. So let's suppose you have a respective resource. Today you create a security group in that SSH was there. Tomorrow you remove the SSH with some RDP. So that changes, you can see it up as well, right? So you can track the changes that has taken place with the respective resources. That's possible in the config part. But config is not fulfilling the requirement of the question. Okay. So the correct answer, guys, in this case is going to be a respective CloudTrail. I hope the CloudTrail is crystal clear with everyone, right? So we have just gone through an overview of it up in place. Everyone, this is the next question. Everyone, please look into it. The question set up in this respective case is that e-commerce company want to use ML, the machine learning algorithm, to build and train your respective models up in place. Fine. As I mentioned to you, I told you up in place by today's session that what a respective service is called, where you're just kind of for training up in place. Okay, that's the thing. Fine. So you want to train a model. So the company will use the model to visualize complex scenarios and detect trends in customer data. Okay. The architect team wants to integrate its ML model with the reporting platform to analyze the augmented data and use the data directly into the business intelligence dashboard. Fine. Which solution will meet the requirement with the least operational overhead? So you have to keep in mind that the operation cost should be less as well. Okay. So the first option that comes up here as well is your AWS Glue. AWS Glue is kind of a service, man, which is there for to which is there to perform your data cleaning and transformation up in place, right? So it's not a service you can think about which is performing full ML model training up in place. Definitely, it has a role to play it up in cleaning up the data, in segregating up the data, and transforming up the data for the ML. But it's not a service you have in place which is full fledged for any kind of ML model training up in place, right? That's the thing. So I will not be going with this one. Okay. Then we have Amazon SageMaker. I told you about, right? SageMaker, which is there to train your ML. Fine. And you want to visualize whatever the information is there. You want to just a minute platform analyze the argument using rightly into the business dashboard. So you want to create up a dashboard as well. That dashboard could be created within a service which is called QuickSight. So the dashboard will be created with the QuickSight and the model will be trained with the SageMaker. So this looks good. And you have a pre-built ML Amazon machine image AMI from the market space? No. no user of it, it's completely another different thing. And use Amazon QuickSight to build and train model using up the calculated field. So it can be definitely for sure for the visualization of the data. QuickSight is there. It help you in creating a respective dashboard like Grafana you can think about, but it is not there to train any kind of model, right? So whenever it kinds of coming for the training of the respective model, guys, always remember we have this service up in place which is called by the name of SageMaker.